It is showtime, and today we are rolling out the red carpet. This is the season finale. Going into the final race, we are actually tied for the most wins in a rookie season with Villeneuve and Hamilton from 1996 and 2007. And wow, what a showing for Leclerc and Hamilton. Lando's done very well as well, P3, and Verstappen's down in P8. Red Bull, they've been so good in these races. They make the overtakes. It's going to be a big arse, but it all comes down to this.
Verstappen.
Oh my goodness me. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. In the final race of this season, Verstappen and Red Bull have to take an engine penalty to lock up, and so Verstappen gets one more position up to P12. Lando, meanwhile, onto his onboard. He's looking to make 1-2 overtakes. It's in the double pass for Lando Norris. What a dive on the inside as we're trying our best. It's oh so close to making a bit of contact with Hamilton, but we've squeezed on through, not one but two. Oh, what a move. Now all of a sudden, a McLaren 1-2. But we have one more stop to make. Verstappen, P14, climbs all the way up to P8. Oh my God, no. What? He's climbed up to P5. How has he done that? How's that happened? Verstappen's up to P5, and that crucially is the lowest position he needs to win the World Championship. So once again, there is another twist in this tale in the finale, and now looks like it's going Verstappen's way. But could Carlos Sainz change things? The Ferrari looking to make the pass. He's got DRS open. Will he come straight back at the Spaniard? He dives down the inside. It's a desperate move. Oh, he's made contact with the Ferrari. Verstappen's bad day gets even worse because Stroll is now overtaking him maybe in the Aston Martin. He might be down to P10. Oh dear. All eyes at this circuit are going to be on one man, and it is this man, Lando Norris, who rounds the final corner to take victory at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, but more importantly, to take victory of his first ever World Drivers' Championship. He's done it. P1 in the race. P1 in the championship on the last race because Verstappen is all the way down in P12. What a miracle of a turnaround. What an ending to season 1. I think you'll agree that was one dramatic ending to season 1. But that was then, and this is now. And part of the reason I love Formula 1 is every season, everything gets reset to 0. And you have to psych yourself up and go once again. New engineering challenges, new driver challenges, new politics, etc. Drama, I'm sure, will come. It is time for season 2. This is the pre-season episode, and we are immediately met with a team selection contract event. This is the end of season 1. We've just come off the back of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and this is where we now either re-sign for McLaren or see our options. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit underwhelmed that there was no fanfare, there's no cut scene when it comes to, you know, re-signing, you know, last negotiation deals, etc. You're just met with a splash screen basically to choose your selection, and the selection we have is a little bit peculiar, to be honest. I, of course, expected to have the option to re-sign with McLaren, and Ferrari were courting us. We had several secret meetings with them over the course of season 1, so that's not a surprise. But then Haas and Aston Martin being the only other two teams available to us is very, very odd. I'm not too sure the reasoning for the other teams not wanting us. I mean, Mercedes, sure, we rejected them in the secret meeting that they came to us, you know, in episode 4, but the rest of them, yeah, a bit puzzling. You know, Haas especially, very odd choice. Aston Martin, you could say maybe they would want to sign us ahead of the 2026 season, which is obviously season 3, when we've got a big engine regulation coming in, you know, a whole overhaul of the regulations. Obviously, Aston Martin are going to be Aston Martin Honda in season 3 in 2026, so you can see maybe the reasoning why they would maybe want to try and and sign us for 1 season before the regulation change to have influence over the car. You know, Ferrari obviously just wanted us from the get-go with those meetings. But, yeah, I don't really know the reasoning behind all of those. But, of course, you probably already guessed, you know, with our rejections of Ferrari's advances with those secret meetings in Season 1, that my heart was only in one place for the following season, because we have unfinished business at this team. We are going to be re-signing with McLaren, but don't you worry, we've got some very special treats coming up later in this video. A very different looking car for this season, so it's going to be an all new look season, but we are staying with McLaren for a second season because, of course, I do want to win a championship, a drivers championship with McLaren before I maybe move on to new pastures. It would feel very, very wrong not to try and finish the job we started. You know, we had a fantastic rookie debut season, and for this following second season, recommended to us is going for an overall rating of 86 in the contract. We can go as high as 91. I reckon 88 might be a good set point. You know, that's going to be 5 more than we have right now, which is kind of the same target I set myself last season. I feel like that's the best compromise. We're not overextending ourselves, because you never know what could happen. We might not get that high. I feel like as we go up rating, it gets harder and harder to go up rating, so let's not set our sights too lofty. Let's keep our feet on the ground. In terms of the contract length, now that we're not in our first season, we can actually go for a multi-year deal, but with Season 3 being 2026, the big regulation overhaul for the engine, aero, chassis. I think very much like real life, what drivers will want to do, let's not tie ourselves down. Let's keep our options open to what could come in 2026. So we're going to sign a 1-year deal again with McLaren. This time, though, the overall rating is set for 88. That is our target, and we obviously start the season with a lot more recognition than we did the first season, so we have more of a say on upgrades, etc. Speaking of upgrades, though, technically right now in the game, in the activity timeline, I'm actually still yet to go into the winter break, so we can actually purchase some R&D that will be guaranteed to get done, you know, in time into the pre-season, the actual pre-season, the activity timeline, basically, before the first round of the season. So, kind of debating what to do. There's a major weight reduction, which could see us really quite lofty in the chassis department. The engine is also a possibility. We've got an ERS upgrade. We could do a fuel upgrade and also just a pure engine power upgrade. Aero, of course, if you were following along in Season 1, the aero side is being reset. That has got a regulation change, so there's no point purchasing any upgrades on the aero side, because we'll just lose them straight away, because we can't obviously adapt them off the bat. So we're looking at engine or chassis. I'm leaning towards the engine side of things, because it's actually a cheaper upgrade, and Lando had his eye on that weight reduction upgrade. So I think if I leave it to him, he will purchase that upgrade he had his eye on. So we should have maybe 4 upgrades pending, 2 chassis upgrades and 2 engine upgrades, very nicely split evenly between myself and Lando, 1 chassis, 1 engine upgrade apiece. So depending on how the AI teams do with adapting the aero reset, we could be in a very good spot. I'm not too sure. Obviously, for the entirety of Season 1, we were on reduced R&D, and the AI teams were all on increased R&D gains, so they well could also match us in adapting everything. But this is the official stats then of our first season in Formula 1. 4 wins, 2 pole positions, which I'm surprised at, because I've never been a qualifying person, but on this game, qualifying's been very, very decent for us. 3rd place in the championship's pretty bonkers. I really didn't think we were going to be getting that. And then, of course, the Constructors' Championship. Myself and Lando are very, very strong pairing, but things are going to be getting a lot more difficult in Season 2, because for the first time now on F1 F124, we can access the new R&D scenarios. This is a new feature in the game in driver career mode where from season to season we can apply scenario rule sets to the upcoming season to give a bit of a different flavor to the season, change it up, give you that challenge. A few of them are actually locked and only accessible after season 2 even, so there's some extra ones, some other scenarios that you will have to play through career mode multiple seasons to even get a chance to experience basically. But for season 2 I had my eyes on this one scenario from the get-go, which is high inflation. Upgrades will become more expensive the more you develop. So for the team I'm driving for, and for every single team on this grid, all the upgrades later into development, the majors, the ultimates, they're going to cost so much more, and it's going to take so much more time for those upgrades to come in. But those upgrades, those could be game changers if they're so expensive and you get ahead of the curve, make that upgrade. It could really turn one of these AI teams, you know, fortunes around basically. And I felt like it was a really fitting R&D scenario given the kind of current landscape in the real world, you know, where there's a massive cost of living crisis right now. Everything is so bloody expensive. Inflation's been going absolutely bonkers, especially in the UK recently. It's only just come down a little bit, and I think it makes sense for a storyline of this career mode. From season 1, you know, we had a whole rookie story going into Formula 1, and now into season 2. Yes, the story we want to try and carve out for ourselves is going for that first Drivers' World Championship with McLaren, but there are going to be big challenges, including not only battling our own teammate, the now reigning world champion, obviously Verstappen and Red Bull return, but in the background, having high inflation is going to be a massive challenge. And in line with that, the storyline going into the 2025 season is due to the cost of living crisis, high inflation in the global market. Formula 1 have decided to reduce the calendar to cut costs for the entire sport, so we're down to a 16 race calendar. And of course Saudi Arabia have paid big bucks in a market where no other country can. They've paid big bucks to host the first race of the season. We then go down under to the Australian Grand Prix and then fly back to Europe shortly for Imola to Monaco, then across the pond to the Canadian Grand Prix, and then we come back for the heart of the European portion of the calendar. Austria, Silverstone and the Hungaroring round out the halfway point. We then return to Formula 1 after a summer break to the Belgium Grand Prix. We go to Monza, Baku, and then we start the final leg of flyaways to Singapore, Brazil. Portimao returns to the F1 calendar, and then we round out the season from Las Vegas to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So that is the calendar. That is a story of how we are entering this year of Formula 1 with high inflation over everyone's heads. But it's now time to go through this 2025 grid and show off the new cars and some new driver lineups. So we start off with Team Papaya, of course, the team I am driving for alongside the now reigning world champion Lando Norris. And it's a strikingly all new look for McLaren this season. A significant boosting in sponsorship for Monster Energy and Quadrant to help finance the team in these difficult high inflation times. A bit of white splashed in there, taking some inspiration and hits from the fan favourites of the Triple Crown. A very artsy looking engine cover though as well, bleeding together the McLaren and Monster colours. And you may notice as well a brand new chassis and aerodynamic package for this year's car, owing to the fact that we obviously had an aero regulation change. It got reset. We did adapt everything, but I just felt it was going to be really nice for our car to have that different chassis shape and different aero, you know, like the halo and, you know, various winglets, etc., to kind of fit in with that aero regulation change that did happen. But generally, this is a livery also that has a good foundation where we can play around with certain sections very nicely that are interchangeable eligible for some nice one-off liveries. So if you have any ideas for what one-off liveries we should be doing in Season 2, then let me know down below in the comments. So from the reigning world champions to their rivals of Season 1, and I'm sure in Season 2 as well, Red Bull retain Max Verstappen, the highest rated driver in the game, 96 rated, alongside Sergio Perez. But in their final season with Honda as an engine supplier, they wanted to celebrate that final year of what has been such a successful partnership. So Red Bull have turned white for this season to celebrate the Japanese power supply before they jump ship. They were going to exit F1 altogether, but now they've come back with their rivals in a way, with Aston Martin, and Red Bull will be partnering with Ford next season in Season 3, of course. So in the final year of this partnership, they tried to celebrate that fact, and they'll be looking to celebrate it also by clapping back, I'm sure, at us to try and take back the championship. Another team with an all-new look this season is Haas, with a really striking yellow DHL livery. Much needed sponsorship with the high inflation looming over, but they've got a really exciting driver signing. They have kicked out Kevin Magnussen, who is not even on the F1 grid altogether this season now, and Oscar Piastri makes his return. I felt bad about kicking him out of McLaren. I'm glad he's found his feet with another team. That's a really strong pairing. Piastri, a good bit of speed, still much to learn. Hulkenberg with experience. This is going to be a team to watch potentially, as they did actually, upgrade quite well at the end of Season 1. But now we come to a bit of a heartbreaking development for Scuderia Ferrari, because they have not signed Lewis Hamilton to replace Carlos Sainz in the game as they have done in real life. Leclerc and Sainz are still the pairing. I really thought and hoped by the fact they were trying to court us in secret meetings, it meant they were prepared to get rid of one of their drivers, but clearly not, I guess, and it's not hard-coded into the game for them to sign Hamilton, even though I think that would make a lot of sense for the game to do, but oh well. But those of you who are Ferrari fans will hopefully like the bit of a retro throwback when it comes to the livery. With these high costs, Formula 1 have relaxed the ban on tobacco products on F1 cars for sponsorship, and Ferrari jumped at the chance to reignite that old partnership they had with Marlboro. Logically then, we're moving on from Ferrari to Mercedes, where Hamilton has stayed put in this already very alternate F1 universe of ours compared to real life. Still alongside George Russell, Mercedes now don a different CrowdStrike livery as CrowdStrike become their main title sponsor, and a really nice red CrowdStrike logo dons the entire engine cover. To be fair to Hamilton in game, Mercedes in the game here really on the uptick at the end of last season, so maybe he knows something we don't, and it's best for him to stay put in the game at least. From Mercedes to Aston Martin, in their final season being powered by a Mercedes engine as they look to move to Honda next season, they remain all same car and driver lineup. Fernando Alonso alongside Lance Stroll. They're hunkering down, saving costs, not changing too much, because they're revving up for that 2026 season with Honda. The same can't be said for Williams, that do change their driver lineup and the look of their car as they lean into their Gulf sponsorship and they expand that partnership in lieu of needing some more cash for this season. They have also signed the services of Esteban Ocon. No longer is Logan Sargent there, and that is a real sign of the ambition of this team. They want to be on the up. James Vowles has got a project that he thinks he can take Williams back to glory, and now he sees Ocon as part of that story. Of course, just like in real life, this has worked out quite nicely. Ocon leaving Alpine at the end of 2024 in-game, just like he will in real life. And for Alpine, in the game at least, they have just signed the driver in the opposite direction, and they have signed Logan Sargent. A bit of a questionable decision, but if you really think about it, Alpine have been making some very questionable decisions lately anyway in real life, so it maybe fits perfectly. They do sport an all-new look though, with an expansion of their Castrol sponsorship. Again, a common theme this season on the grid is teams hunkering down, expanding current deals in order to get enough cash and resources for the higher inflation expected for this season. And now we end off with the final two teams that are unchanged with the livery and driver lineups. But to be honest, it's no surprise. These two teams will be teams that are looking to rapidly maybe change into 2026. Sauber, they're turning into Audi in Season 3. They stick with Bottas and Zhou Guanyu for now. And Visa Cash Up RB, who knows what on earth they'll be in 2026. But for now, they stick with their pairing of Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo. But a big shout out to the various livery mods we're using for this season. I'll link all of them down below in the description. A shout out to some amazing modders that do some amazing work in the PC modding community every single game. You guys are the real goats. But we now come into the R&D section, into the pre-season for Season 2, because I want to show you, this is the real proof in the pudding. I wasn't kidding when I said these costs are going to be astronomical. Look at this. We've got over like 1,400 for pretty much every upgrade I could do. Durability, I have nothing left to do because I don't have enough recognition in the McLaren team, unfortunately, but every upgrade we have got to like purchase next is in the range of 1,400 or 1,100, I guess, with a bit of discount on the aero, but 1,100 to up to 2,000 R&D, and we've not been gaining that much R&D like at a good rate. So this is honestly going to take a long while to get some of these upgrades in. In contrast to that, we are starting on a real front foot and advantage in Season 2 by the R&D chart. You can see we've made a real big gain into 2025 here. Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes all have a slight downturn, so they maybe only had one upgrade left that they didn't adapt on the aero. Aston Martin have actually made a good upgrade to actually catch up to the pack. So you can see maybe why they wanted to try and sign us, because they are on the up in a season just before their big engine switch. And then down below, Haas actually make a good upgrade compared to the rest of the back markers to try and bridge that gap. But to be fair, remember the scaling's very small here already into Season 2, so the fuel spread was already quite small, you might remember, at the end of Season 1. But what I see this as is, I think this is actually going to be a very, in a very fitting way, actually, for my favourite F1 driver ever. It's going to be a Brawn GP style season, potentially. Not in a way where I don't think we're going to dominate the competition, because, like I said, the scaling's so small that the teams below us are actually quite close to us, actually, in reality. But I mean, it's going to be a Brawn GP kind of season, maybe, in a way of we're starting the season as the best team on paper, but because of the high inflation and we're on reduced R&D and the AI are on increased R&D, I think we are going to slowly decline down this list, kind of like we did in Season 1. Remember, in the last third, we went from first to fourth at one point, and obviously, in reality, we were still able to compete somewhat, but I think with the high inflation, it's going to be a real challenge, one that maybe, I even might underestimate myself. Maybe you guys watching might be underestimating, because I've seen online others, because I've seen already others actually experiencing that R&D scenario and saying it is a very, very tough scenario to do. So I'm actually quite excited to have that extra kind of challenge for Season 2 in a season where we're trying to go for that first Drivers' Championship. But that, then, is the entire lore behind Season 2, the 2025 season in this alternate F1 career mode universe of ours on F1 24. Guys, if you have enjoyed it, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below of any of those things, the liveries, the driver transfers, the high inflation, etc. Let me know what you make of it. Hopefully you're excited for it. And if you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content, because Season 2 will begin tomorrow. I will see you guys then. Goodbye.